Okay, welcome back to the next episode of TaylorAdamsSports. I'm Taylor, and I am here with not only the video hype man, videographer, crazy awesome editor himself, but also one of my best friend's little brother, Jeremy Whitmore. Hello, Jeremy. What's going on?
What's going on, Taylor? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So I say this on every podcast, but I think someone like you in the position that you're in that you're going to kind of talk about is really important, especially because you are a college student. And right now I have a lot of college students reaching out to me and asking, how can I get involved? What can I be doing during this to get internships and get further in sports? And I think the position that you are in is super unique. And I don't think it's talked about enough that you can really get into it. So I like to start off by you just kind of talking about yourself, like where you are in college, what you're kind of doing, and your experience that led you to work for Indiana football.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going into my senior year at Indiana University. I've been working for the football team since I was a freshman. And I'd like to say special thanks to you because this all couldn't be possible without you. So it was when I was kind of applying to colleges, I was trying to find my path. I was kind of thinking about film school, but I kind of started to think I'd basically be paying all this money to be learning everything I've already learned through experience. Because I've been working with videos since middle school. And so I was applying to college. I knew I wanted to do something with sports. I didn't want to do feature filmmaking. I wanted to do kind of like the quick hitting social media stuff and work on multiple projects at a time. Mm-hmm. And so I was applying to schools, and given that you were a recruiting assistant at Indiana football, you were gracious enough to get me in contact with the video coordinator at the time. And so I got in contact with him. He said, and I was still applying at the time. So he's like, if you,
for reference, this is like high school. And once you actually got into your freshman year.
Yeah. So I was applying to school, and the video coordinator got in contact with me, or after I got in contact with him, and he was like, "Hey, I'd love to have you on the team. If you get accepted, get in contact with me again. You can once you come down for your visit, we can chit chat and talk about the future." I'm like, "Awesome, let's do it." So I got in Indiana, and I went for a visit in February, I think, after I got in, and went down to meet the video coordinator and a bunch of other people in the office, and had like sort of like a mini interview, and met some other people in the office, signed the papers, and I was on track to work for the summer. And I actually started out, since he was a video coordinator, I actually started out doing coaches film, which is basically where, you got the guys up in the perch, up in the stands, up in the scissor lifts, filming stuff for coaches to review with players. And after about a week of doing that, I'm like, all right, this is cool. And it's a good way to get my foot in the door. But I wanted to do something more. And I noticed there were other interns doing sort of the highlight stuff like I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And there was a guy on the other side of the office who handled that side, or handled like the social media and the creative stuff. And so I showed him my my video reel and what I'd done in the past. And he said, let's do that. Like, let's have you sort of still help out the video coordinator. If he needs extra people, if he needs you to film practice every once in a while, you can do that. But in the meantime, I didn't film any games. I didn't film any of the games for coaches film my freshman year. I did all highlights. And
backing it up just a little bit to, like, how did you teach yourself? Because starting in middle school is really young, right? Like, you don't just learn all this just in a blink of an eye. So, like, what did you do in middle school that got you that experience, and how did you teach yourself so that when you walked into college as a freshman, you were able to kind of impress them and get the job right away?
Yeah. Well, it kind of all just started. It started super normal. Like, I basically just got a flip video camera one Christmas from my grandma, and I like one of those ones that you just like, it flips out.
Right.
Super simple. And I was super into skateboarding and stuff, so I would just start out filming my buddy skateboarding in our driveways, and that slowly progressed into making short films as I kept doing more of it, and I kind of just grew a love for it at an early age. And I've been doing like extreme sports and sports and stuff like that for a long time, so I kind of fell in love with the videography aspect of that. and it just grew from there. High school, I started filming more sports and extreme sports stuff, and it all just grew.
Yeah, and you got really good not only of the actual filming itself, but then editing and making really cool hype videos and just, those videos that you kind of get the chills when you watch them, and that all these teams they post on their players and the games. And even I know for football recruits, they have these hype videos for themselves too. So just all of that I think is so in right now, especially with social media. People like those quick 30-second videos that get you excited and pumped up and hit those highlights. So I think that's super cool that you kind of progressed over what it would have been 7 years doing it since middle school to college to get you there. So you get to IU and you start working with the team. What does your day-to-day look like then? And I'm sure it's changed now and what you've progressed over the last 4 years, but what did it kind of look like day-to-day? What did they have you doing?
So I guess on a normal day, once I got fully over to the highlights side, if it's during the season and it's a practice day, I'll go in for practice. I'll discuss with the creative director, which is the position that it's now called. I'll discuss like what's our plan for the week. What are we going to do for social media videos? Do we want to do a daily recap of practice, or do we want to do more of like a weekly thing, or find a cool effect or a cool hard hitting something basically to get reposts and likes?
Right.
Do we want to find a cool effect that we could do maybe with GoPros or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
We'll go over our plan for the week and we'll execute that filming during practice. And then basically we'll film every day for practice, given with a bunch of people's class schedules and everything.
Right.
So we'll film during practice, and then I'll either stay after or work on my computer at home, or come in later during the day after class to work on the videos and collaborate with the creative director, and then put out the video at the end of the week before the game. Game day is basically the same thing. Typically, we do like a player of the game type thing for games. So I'll get in there about a few hours before the game. We'll go over the game plan, shoot the best stuff you can during the game, and then get the player of the games done. And then oftentimes we'll also do motivationals for the games before the games for the players to watch. They watch it as a whole team. People will do we'll do like a big motivational video that's super intense, like 3 minutes long. Those are fun to make.
I'm sure. And so you're working a lot of hours. Like I know when I was working with Indiana football, it was like a full-time job. I was there 40 hours a week plus, and it's by no means easy. It's fun, but it's a lot of work, especially during the season when you've got, an away game and then a home game. And so for you, like, what was it like kind of balancing both? And it still is as a college student, because I think there's a misconception sometimes that your internships and your classes, it's all hard to balance, but it's doable. It's just a lot of work. So what kind of works for you? Do you have any tips and tricks for people who are looking to get into it, or maybe are going to be an incoming freshman and want to have an internship like that?
Yeah, honestly, it's just staying on the ball and prioritizing. What I did like my sophomore year is I tried to allocate my classes as much so I could work, because practices always happen in the morning. Right. I tried to allocate my classes later in the day so I could be able to go to work every day and get in the hours and be able to progress as much as I could during the week. So I guess as far as balance, I think it's a lot just staying prioritized and motivated. You got to love what you're doing, and you got to realize that this is huge for your future regardless. So I think you just got to stay motivated for sure.
Absolutely. What are some things that you've learned from, whether it is the creative director or it's a video coordinator, that you may not have learned or been able to learn not working for a football team? Or how is like working for an actual like football program been different from just making these little one-off videos with your friends?
Well, I think a huge part of it is networking. You meet a lot of people in the industry traveling to away games. You meet all the different people who work for other teams on top of everyone who works for the team that you work for, which I think networking is probably the biggest part of the job for sure. Also, learning how to use professional grade equipment. Like we have at Indiana, we have Sony FS5s, which are industry standard professional 4K cameras. Unreal. Sure. And getting to learn how to use those is definitely gonna put myself ahead of the game once I come out of college. God willing that I work for a football team or a sports team where they have those types of cameras in house, I won't have to waste time trying to learn how to use it since I've already learned how to use it, you know?
And I'm sure you're just building a portfolio with all these videos, right? Like, and I
Right.
think with, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but with an industry that you're in and the types of things that you want to do, when you are applying to jobs, you're going to have something to show for yourself, right? Like, of course, your classes are important and your grades and everything you've done in college, but they're really going to be like, okay, you've done video for this many years. What can you show us, right? And so
Yeah.
if you are looking to work for a football team, it's important that you can pull out XYZ amount of project that you did for them and say, this is everything I did, and see the progression of how you got better. And then not only that, but be able to list all the different, like you said, equipment that you were able to use, you know how to work the programs on the computers, the video editing software and all of that. So I'm sure that's been a huge part of it too, is just building your actual portfolio.
Well, yeah, that's a part honestly I forgot is this is like probably the biggest portfolio builder that I could have ever asked for.
Right.
Because I'll make a video reel at the end of the year pretty much of all my best stuff. And that's something I can put on my Vimeo page, which kind of acts as like a website or like a portfolio because it has all my best work right there. Yeah, that's probably the biggest part as well is just showing off like what I've actually done. You know,
Yeah.
it can say on paper like, yeah, I've had this experience, I've worked with a team, but it'll go further showing what you can actually do. You know.
Yeah. And working with the creative director and the video coordinator, how are you coming up with new ideas? Because I feel like I see on Twitter and Instagram a lot of these videos. I mean, people are just coming up with the most insane ideas and they make it happen, right? So do you have somewhere where you get information or inspiration from, or accounts that you follow that you're like, I want to try that with Indiana football? Like, where do you get these ideas and weekly kind of creativeness for?
It's a lot of just like research and following the right people on Instagram and Twitter and seeing what is trending and what is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I know Red Bull like that for like you can follow other accounts that aren't just like football teams and
Sure.
basketball teams. Like I follow follow like Red Bull Bike, Red Bull Motorsports, all these different pages that are doing cutting edge stuff in the videography world, and seeing what they're doing and seeing how people react to it is huge. Like we did for a while, as an example, for a while, there was this effect that was a big trend. I'm gonna get in, like kind of nerdy talking about this, but there was a Beats commercial. If people remember, it had like LeBron or James Harden or maybe both of them, but it was like almost locked on their earbud, and the footage was moving around it,
Okay.
and it's a motion tracking effect. And so I saw that, and one of the first days of fall camp this past year, we made a video of it, and it was a huge hit. So it's kind of just always keeping your eye out, whether it's in commercials or on social media, seeing what other people are doing,
Right.
and twisting it and making it your own. You know.
And do the players ever kind of give you insight to what they want? Like if you are doing a player of the week for a game, do you ask them for anything that they'd like to see on them, or do you get their input at all? Because I'm sure, the professional athletes like LeBron and some of those guys, I'm sure they have some sort of input or ideas.
Yeah.
So do you ever collaborate with the players as well?
So I do collaborate with players if it's something not for the Indiana football official pages. When it's the official pages, it's kind of just basically left up to the creative director and myself to, because we can't really use like, if they have a music suggestion, we can't really use copyrighted music.
Right.
So, and that's usually as far as it will go. But a lot of the times, if I'm doing something either for players or just for fun, for my own personal use, yeah, and I will collaborate with players, saying like, "Oh, what song would be really good here?" And like, oftentimes they'll give me a huge list of songs, and they're always bangers.
Right. No, your videos are awesome, and I'm definitely going to link your YouTube channel, and I recommend everyone to go follow Indiana football pages because a lot of those videos that are posted are by Jeremy, and they're just awesome. Like if they don't make you want to go play for Indiana football or like go watch a game, then you're insane because they're such hype videos. They're awesome. So
I appreciate that.
awesome.
Thank you.
So you're coming into your senior year of college, which is crazy because I've known you since you were just little, and I'm so proud of all the progress that you've made, and you're just so well-versed and so good at what you do. I'm so excited that you're going to be able to ball out this year, but what are some goals in, in college in general, but then with this program that you kind of want to hammerhead this year before you do leave for your last season?
Let's think. Goals for the upcoming year.
I know a lot of
definitely want
to depend, right? There's a lot going on and a lot of variables happening right now that's going to change the way we probably do things, but loosely termed, I guess, what are your goals?
Yeah. Well, I want to make an updated video reel at the end of this year, and I want to focus on becoming even more well-versed with the Sony FS5, just like the ins and outs of the camera and being able to push it to its limits. I want to try really to really get creative with drones, because I see like that's the thing that's trending a lot is these FPV drones that are super quick and you can do a lot of cool stuff with them. So I guess just trying to flex my creative muscles, I think, a little bit more, and try to grow myself as a videographer as much as I can every week, and try to get the best footage possible to make a successful video reel at the end of the year.
Yeah. And this might be like a silly question because I don't know all the terms of cameras and stuff. But during an NFL game, I know they have those cameras that are above the field and they're hanging by like almost
they're hanging. Yeah, they're hanging by like lines, the skylines.
Yeah, not for like TV purposes. Is that also for film and that kind of stuff that you're doing?
So what's cool is actually those are typically for broadcast purposes. The broadcast network will bring that in a day or two prior to set that up. But what's cool is that with the broadcast, at least for Indiana football, and I'm sure like almost all professional and college teams, we have the rights to use that footage from the broadcast in some of our videos. So, that's always cool to utilize for sure, because you can get some sweet angles with that.
Absolutely. So beyond all the work part, because you obviously work your butt off, you make these videos, you put in a lot of time and effort. Working for a Big Ten program, you've got to have some pretty cool experiences, I imagine. I know I did. And Indiana's really good at giving their interns and their, student workers good hands-on opportunities and just things that you don't normally get to do as a student. So like out of the last 3 years, I know you still have one more season, but the last 3 seasons, what's the coolest thing that you've gotten to do with the team?
Well, one of the coolest things, I love traveling. Well, I got to go to the TaylorAdamsSports Gator Bowl this past winter, which was unreal. Getting to, fly on a private charter with the whole team and stay in a hotel in Jacksonville was such a cool experience. And I think overall, just traveling in general and getting to see other campuses within the Big Ten is a super cool experience. And I think above all, too, is just, something a lot of just normal students probably can't attest to is just getting to know the players. Like, I love getting to know all the football players because they're such great dudes off the field,
Absolutely. And then, you see them go on to the NFL, some of them, and hopefully one day you're working with them again and just seeing them in a different light, which would be so cool. So I think that's awesome. And bowl games are always fun. So I can only imagine. I didn't get to go to that one, but you had some good weather and it looked like just an awesome experience because you're there, like a week, right?
Yeah, we were there for basically a whole week. It was great. It was crazy.
Yeah. So coming up on senior year, how do you feel about it? Are you excited, nervous?
It's bittersweet. I mean, I'm super excited to go back. That's for sure. Yeah. I'm super excited to go back. But I feel like maybe once the football season's over and I'm kind of in the meat of the year, it's gonna get a little sad, knowing that it's coming to an end. But just gotta be thankful, thankful that it happened.
What's next then? I mean, I think with video, there's just so many different avenues that you can take, and you can go the football route, or you can go and you can make movies, and there's just a million different options. So for you, like, what are some places you're going to be applying for? What are some positions that you're keeping an eye out for when you do start applying for jobs?
So definitely upon graduation, I think at this rate, considering I've grown my portfolio in the sports world, I would love to work for a professional sports team. Mm-hmm. Football in particular, considering that's like most of my portfolio at this point. Right. So, definitely working for a team in the NFL. Honestly, any professional sports team at this point, if they come knocking, I'm probably gonna take it. Or even a college team too. I'd love to go to another college town and become like a social media coordinator for their or a creative director for one of their teams. It would be a dream come true.
Absolutely. So what would you, for someone who's looking to get into what you're doing or learn more about it and kind of hit the ground running, what would be some advice that you would give to them, if it is prior to getting into college, or if it's they just want to learn more and kind of get their foot in the door? What would you recommend them doing, or any best practices?
Well, the thing is, today video is so accessible and video equipment is so accessible, and it's a lot cheaper than it was in the past. So even with like the type of quality that our phones can produce, just getting out there and trying different things. If you truly have a love for it, get out there, try to film things that you love, and that'll make it never feel like work, as cliche as it is. And also, do your research. Find types of videos that you want to emulate and you think are cool, and form your own style from like sort of a mosh pit of like everything that you enjoy watching. And that'll help create your own style and help set yourself apart. And it'll make it that much more fun when you're making stuff that you truly enjoy as well.
Yeah. And what do you think is the biggest challenge in what you're doing? What do you think, if there are going to be more challenges this year? And what do you think the hardest part, or the biggest area for growth you see in yourself, as far as video editing and video goes?
I'd say becoming more well-versed. So Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects are the main programs I use as far as, like motion graphics, compositing, and just editing in general. Premiere, I'm well-versed enough in Premiere to be able to do, for the most part, like what I want to do. But I think becoming more well-versed in After Effects and being able to use that program to its full potential is definitely where I want to grow, because you can do a lot more cool motion graphics and 3D work with After Effects. And I think if you can master that, then it's such a blank canvas to do whatever you want. It's unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also just a testament of who you are that you did stick with Indiana for 4 years. And I think the fact that you got to see each season you grew a little bit and got a little bit better with the same program, it just really shows your progression. You'll be able to show that when you do apply for jobs. You'll be able to say, this is what I did. And when did you start college? I don't even know what year.
2017. Yeah.
Oh gosh, 2017. This is how I started off, and like, this is my most up-to-date video, and this is how I've grown. And I think when you can compare two things with the same topic or content, it can really drastically show how much you did work and you did get better at your craft. So I think that's super exciting. And I think that Jeremy just did a good job. Granted, you are one of my best friend's little brother. I think because of how well poised you are and how much time you put in to your craft before, this job even came up, you were doing it for fun. You were really putting that extra effort in outside of school and outside of getting paid. You just did it because you loved it and because you wanted to get really good at it. I had no problem introducing you and connecting you with the video coordinator. And I think that's just how people should look at what they're doing. You're not just going to get an internship just because you're you or because you know someone. You have to have that drive and have that reliability and that credibility. And you were doing that long before this opportunity came up. So I think that's just also a testament of who you are, and you continue to do that. And so, when you do graduate, I can't wait to see what you do, because you are so good at everything. And these videos are just awesome. So I can't wait. They're like my favorite thing to watch. And
oh God,
I obviously haven't been in, at IU in a few years. So it's so exciting to see, and it's so fun. And I think you're going to be great. So, I can't wait.
Taylor. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
I think, overall video is not talked about enough. I think just social media for teams and creative content and all of that is so underlooked, because you kind of just see it every day, but you don't realize the time and the thought process and the ideas and the brainstorm that goes into every single post and every single theme, and across the board, whether it's sports teams or if it's college teams or whatever it is. There's just so much work that goes into it, and there's so many different jobs and areas that you can get into that I think people would love to learn about. And so,
for sure. Yeah.
Just great job of kind of explaining what your day-to-day looks like, and videos becoming bigger and bigger between all these vloggers I see on YouTube, and Red Bull's
it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's so accessible, which is great. Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure there's a bunch of classes at all these colleges too. Like, do you take media classes or do you take film classes?
Yeah, so not necessarily like film classes, but my major is media with a specialization in advertising. So I'm taking a lot of sort of like creative advertising type classes, which do help with what I do for the team too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm so excited to see what you do. I know I keep saying this, but I've again known you since you were little, and just seeing how much you've grown and your work ethic is everyone should want to mimic it because you're just really dedicated to your craft. So I think that's great. I'm going to link Jeremy's all of his information in this so that you guys can go check out his videos. He's awesome, and you know, I won't speak for you, but I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions to anyone looking to get into the field, especially IU students. They're always looking for people to help out and kind of get involved with that. So feel free to reach out to him, ask him questions. He's a literal genius when it comes to this stuff. I know nothing. So he would be the person to talk to. But other than that, is there anything you want to add? Anything more exciting that you can attest to and working in college
Let's see.
football?
I guess adding on to what you just said, if there's anybody out there with questions regarding videography or working for a college sports team, shoot me a DM on Instagram or send me an email, whatever it may be. I'll be glad to answer them.
I think that sounds great. Well, don't want to keep you too long, but appreciate you coming on this. I think it's been an eye opener. I haven't had someone like this on the podcast yet, so I think it's really cool to get an insight and inside look of what you do every day and where these videos come from because they don't come out of thin air. I can't wait to see what you're going to do with Indiana football this year, and hopefully we go bowling again.
Absolutely. I think we have a good chance.
Yeah, they're looking good. So I'll let you go. Again, I'm going to link Jeremy's information all in this caption and on Instagram. Reach out to him. He's great. Follow Indiana football for all of his videos and to go check out his work. And we'll see you this season.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor, again.
Yeah, we'll talk soon and go Hoosiers.
All right, go Hoosiers.